live. Hello and welcome to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am one of your hosts, Tim from ChildOfMecha.com, and with me, as always, are my esteemed colleagues and co-hosts. And welcome to episode 22 of Gunpla Talk.
22, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? 22 episodes. That's nuts. So we're gonna talk to our special guest today. Jordan, also known as Ed from 00 Gundam Reviews. He's going to talk to us a little bit about his work and things of that nature. We'll talk about a couple other topics. We'll cover Tetsujin, the Hobby Art Gallery, crazy little mini convention that Josh just attended. And we're also going to talk about this crazy phenomenon. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, this Ver.Logic thing. That has kind of swept the Gunpla community here in the past couple weeks. We'll touch on that here in a few. But let's quickly go around the chat here and introduce ourselves. Let's start with Josh. Josh, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Yep, I'm Josh Rodera on Instagram and Facebook, and I build Gunpla models and I draw them as well. And that's about it, I think. Yeah, and I've been on the show maybe like 6th or 7th episode now. And it's still fun. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us.
It would have been almost a year now you've been on, eh?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, because it was just after GBWC 2015.
Yeah. I think I don't know, I have to go back and check, but January, February last year.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was.
Oh, guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's Josh's anniversary, everybody.
Man, there we go.
We should have baked him a cake.
Oh, speaking of cakes, we got some birthdays coming up too.
Oh yeah, we got 2 birthdays coming up, but I don't know if do we want to talk about that?
I don't know. Why not? My birthday is next Tuesday.
What?
Yay!
Do you have anything planned? Do you keep it mellow, or do you go out and have a bit of a dinner out or something?
Yeah, we'll probably go out for dinner. I'm sure like probably my wife's parents will want to buy some dinner or something, but
yeah,
nice.
Not too much, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's a good segue. Without further ado, everybody, Zach, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Hey, I'm ZakuAurelius, and next week is my birthday.
That's his claim to fame, folks.
And if you're watching this, you're already on my YouTube channel, but of course I also have my Facebook page and Instagram page. Will be the next places to also check out. So follow there if you want. That's
awesome. Very cool. And without further ado, we're going to introduce our special guest, Jordan, also known as Ed from 00 Gundam Reviews. Ed, go ahead and introduce yourself, everybody.
Hey there, guys. I'm Jordan, but most of you know me as Ed, and I've been painting robots for a while, and occasionally do videos on them. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I paint and build dirty robots. So
dirty robots. That's awesome.
It's nice to actually be involved in one of these like chat things now. I've been invited to a couple of them, and I never usually go on them, but it's nice to finally kind of talk with you guys, not online.
Well, it's awesome, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good to have you.
Very cool, very cool. Well, let's go ahead and we'll quickly talk about what each of us is working on. I'll quickly start finishing up the Blue Destiny refurbish of the old kit that I built like a decade plus ago. If you're following me on Facebook and Instagram, I just finished doing the panel lines today, and so I did a little touch-ups and things like that. So the next step is decals, my favorite part. And then after that, I'm going to be finishing painting the Gundam Ver.Logic that we'll talk about here in just a little bit. So that'll be exciting too. So that's what I'm working on. So Josh, what are you working on, man?
What have I been working on? I've been working on the little old GM Sniper 2 Master Grade. I got that before I went to Singapore, and this was my on-the-flight build. So I cut up all the parts, put them in little bags, and had it all set. So if anybody's wondering how I'm building that on the plane, I don't take nippers on. There's no secret way of getting that through security. You got to pre-cut all your parts. Yeah. And but they do let you take in fingernail clippers, so maybe that's a way to do it if you need to. Yeah, so putting this together, man, heaps of fun, and a lot of it's the Master Grade RX-78 2.0 inner frame, which is a great inner frame, rock solid, really cool. And so I've got it in like half armor, half revealed inner frame mode, which I always do when I put something together. So yeah, that's been a really fun kit. And then I also got myself, when I was over there, we can't get these in Australia, Star Wars.
Oh, nice.
TIE Fighter. Yeah. Box art on these, really cool. And I was mainly interested in these just for the detail of the kit once it's finished. As with all Bandai, it's all snapped together, and then the detail and the greebling and stuff on the side here, you wouldn't be able to see it, but it's just off the charts. It's crazy. So yeah, been working on that. And then lastly, I ended up finally finishing my Bogatus Lupus redesign artwork, and I printed those out and took them over to Singapore. And I'm really happy with it. Yeah, it turned out really cool. Really fun to color it in. So I'll be putting those on my store soon and offering those for sale. So yeah, so that's what I've been up to.
Very cool, very cool. Now, I have to ask, because it's me, how's the Zeta Plus coming along?
Zeta Plus is back into, where's my pieces? Here we go. This is what I started working on yesterday, these two little pieces. So these are basically a couple vents on the Zeta Plus that I had to redo, and it's from the high-grade Origin gun tank kit, and I had to buy another kit just for these two pieces. Yeah, luckily it was like $15 over in Singapore, so it wasn't too bad. So I'm back onto it. So that's my custom that I'm working on now. So it'll be getting there. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Can't wait to see that one done. That's a personal favorite.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, man.
Yeah.
Zach, it looks like you're working on something right now as we speak. What do you got there, man?
Yeah, just trying to chip away at this fun stuff.
Oh God, the bane of the Gunpla community.
Oh man,
the pipes. Oh yeah. Pipes.
But
on the plus side, after enduring this, then at least my Zaku won't have the trash bags covering joints and stuff. So that's what these are for. So just want to say thanks once again to Dane. Dane Taylor sent me these in the mail. Yeah, had some extras. So. But yeah, working on painting the Zaku here. I was hoping to have more of this done before the show, but here's just the colors that I'm doing with.
That's cool.
Very cool.
This dark part in the center is actually navy. It's probably gonna be hard to tell, but and then the yellow is just the character yellow, so it's like almost orange, and then just a bunch of different grays. And also got the beam bazooka painted. With this one, I'm not too sure. I was talking to Josh about this the other day. The back part here is actually like a kind of a light olive drab color. I'm not sure if I really like it or not yet, but I think it'll look better once it's like once I've painted some of the details and the like panel lining and decals and everything is on there. I think I might like it more, but at the moment,
I kind of dig it actually.
Yeah.
It's looking better now that I had this. When I showed Josh the other day, I didn't have this red piping piece on the back.
Right.
That helps a little bit.
The red actually, it really helps. It's crazy how much it helps. Yeah.
And maybe drop some of that color on some of the little accent pieces on there too. That might tie it all together.
Yeah. I need to think about that. So I'm not sure, but anyway, that's just about finished painting all the parts of the MS, and then maybe probably tonight gonna start priming the weapons. Other than the beam bazooka, all the other weapons aren't primed yet.
Very cool.
And then over the course of this next week, then working on the backpack. So that's like a whole other thing. So.
It's like a whole kit in of itself.
I'm really dreading painting the giant fuel tank because it's going to take so long.
Oh, it will. Gosh, of course. Man, you
Oh,
just need to buy like a bucket of house paint and then just dip it in. Just do it.
I think so. Well, something I was actually considering was just using just spraying it with spray can instead of airbrush.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. Just because airbrush is just spraying just this tiny bit
Teeny
over
tiny.
that whole thing is going to take.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, spray can sounds like the way to go. You'll blast through that. Yeah.
I don't know. So we'll see. Thinking about that anyway.
Man, well, good luck on that, man. Jeez. I don't envy you.
It'll be good once it's done. And I just started. What I'm going to be painting after this is HD Kshatriya. So I mean, I just started, just removed the seams and primed the arms. It's like the only seam lines the kit has. So
cool.
Just did that, and then so.
And what kind of scheme are you going to do on that?
That's for a commission. So he wants it to be in kind of like a dark gray and dark red kind of colors.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk more about that. I need to do a work in progress video for that, so I'll do that a bit later. Okay. That's what's next.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Thank you, Zach.
Yep.
All right, so let's go over to Ed. Ed, what are you working on, man? Looks like you got something in the works there too.
Yeah, I'm working on a Grimgird. I don't know how to pronounce it. Grimgrade, whatever it is. I'm doing kind of a orange color scheme with caution stripe accents on it.
Oh wow!
I was really inspired by Chris's entry at Comic-Con this year, and I wanted to kind of make a sister unit to his, what was it, Yellow Jacket or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, so I decided to kind of go with the orange scheme with the accents of the caution tape, and then very, very small little spritz of like lime green for like the eyes and the camera and all that fun stuff.
It looks nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, and the fun, the easy painting part is done, and now I'm kind of going through and hand detailing the entire thing with all my fun weathering stuff, and then that's pretty much what I've been working on for the past like month, because I moved recently and it's just been crazy, new job and everything, so I've been slowly, no pun intended, chipping away at this guy for a while now. So, yeah.
Very nice. And now you're going to put that into like a little diorama base like you always do, or are you just going to let him stand?
I was thinking about it, but the problem is, like, when I'm making a kit or something like this, I'll come up with a diorama idea, like, when I start it. And by the time I have the kit painted, I've changed that idea in my head so much that it involves different mobile suits. So I kind of just don't do the diorama, and then I kind of save that for something else. So this guy, I think I'm just gonna do like a just straight up kit, and then I've got a couple other things that I haven't necessarily started yet, but they're nothing worth showing off or really talking about because the concept might change. But I've got a master grade Dom that I snapped together that I want to do, and one other thing that I was working on, but I don't think I have it up here, and I haven't posted anything about it yet. But I've got a I don't know what exactly the mold is, but it's a resin kit from E2046, and it's just the original Gundam, and it's kind of in like this weird like half origin, half Yaz style artwork, and it's kind of like it's chunky, but it's detailed. It's really nice, but yeah, that's about it. I mean, really, this is the most I've done, I think, in the past couple months. So GBWC really burned me out because of how much I had to do in such a small amount of time. So
yeah, you were cramming that in, hey.
Yeah.
Damn. Man, and like Tim and I both feel that big time. It's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah. But it looked amazing, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit, because that diorama that you brought to GBWC was just off the charts. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, I got something big in store for next year, and I'm willing to talk about it. So
yeah, cool.
later.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, good deal. Thank you, Ed.
Yeah,
all right,
no
so let's take it over to Zach with the news. What kind of news do we have here, Zach? What are we talking about? Anything good?
Not really.
Yeah. Kind of light on news.
The March 8th, so in a couple weeks from now, is Gunpla Expo in Hokkaido, in Japan.
Okay.
And so I think there's going to be a lot of stuff shown at that time, because like I've seen like in last month's magazines, Ben already said they're going to be revealing some new SDX standard kits, which are kind of not that big a deal, but and then something about the MG Justice is going to be talked about at that time as well. There is this kit which I did want to talk about, like as far as Bandai kits and stuff coming out. Like I think the biggest things that people have been talking about for the last month is like the Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex, which is actually already out now. It just kind of went from 0 to 60. It was like not shown at all, and then it's out. And then the Gundam Bale is out next month.
Okay.
Also from IBO. Those are kind of like the two biggest things. But hang on, I do want to share this third-party kit. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. It's the Dragon Momoko Death Scythe Hell TV version.
Oh yeah,
Crazy
yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one that hates the look of this kit.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it either.
Yeah, I'm not really particularly either, but just wanted to share it since it was something that I'm sure a lot of people are into it. Just particularly myself.
No, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I just personal preference and all. There are a lot of people that have just gone gaga over this thing, in the groups and things like that. And I mean, some of the detail I respect, but just the styling of it, it's just it's just not my flavor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the same. Like some of the detail I really like, but some of it's just a little much for me. Like especially here on the outside, it's just almost too much detail on that like cloak part.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. I mean, this is just looking at it in the gray primer, right, where you can really see all the details.
Yeah.
Once it's painted, it may not have the same look, and depending on how you paint it, I guess. But
yeah, that's true. Very true.
But it is interesting. I'm glad that Dragon Momoko is branching out from Seed for a change. So that's good. They're trying something new. Which, actually, though, I wonder if this would be using this. If they're gonna try using the same frame, I guess not. They probably wouldn't use the strike frame for this.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
It has similar proportions anyway.
What's that?
It has similar proportions though.
Yeah.
But I would guess they are probably using the Gundam wing frame. Just Bandai's Gundam wing frame probably. But I don't know. It looks interesting. But yeah, that was pretty much it for like really newsworthy stuff that has been out recently. Like it's just mostly been just Iron Blood Orphans stuff. We just got a few things from that. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, that new what is it called? Regan Glaze or whatever?
Oh yes,
Regan Glaze.
The new grays.
It
actually looks kind of decent.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised by that. I mean, I like the grays to begin with, but this one just kind of, I guess, upped the notch a little bit on design wise. And I'll tell you what, if they ever make a 1/100 scale out of that, I'll probably buy that.
That would be so good.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said you guys and your 1/100s. It's I always do like 1/144 scale stuff, and my friends are always like, "When are you gonna upgrade, man?" don't get me wrong. I love Gunpla and all scales. I just like picking on people.
Oh yeah.
You're
a lot
like
of personal preference.
You're emailing Bandai like, "Where's my 1/144 Sinanju Stein?" Like one of the only kits that isn't a modern design that hasn't been done in 1/144 as well.
Right.
Yeah. I do wish they'd make that. Oh gosh, that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Awesome. Yeah. This is.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, this is just one thing that I wanted to show. I don't know if you had seen this photo of it, Tim. The like legs inside of its legs. Actually, I don't even know if this was ever even seen on the show.
Huh.
I can't remember.
It's interesting. I still don't mind it. I kind of dig it.
Well, it'll come with a stand, so I mean, you never have to actually put it like that. Right, but, I believe it's coming with a stand anyway.
This is on display right now at the Toy Fair in New York. One of my friends is there right now, and he posted a couple pictures of it.
Yeah, it just released here. I think just a few days ago. I just ordered mine last night, so I should have it in a couple days. But it looks cool.
It reminds me so much of a throne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I like how it's got the almost turn A style mustache, but I haven't really seen people really pointing that out about it.
Now, is that a mustache? I thought those were just like horns coming off the side.
Yeah, it's off the side, but it's like kind of like off the side of like the mouth, kind of. I'm trying to find a good picture where you can really see it close up. But I mean, it doesn't really have a mouth, but it's off of like the kind of the front part of the head like that. So to me, it looks kind of similar to the mustache anyway.
Okay.
Oh, here, this is a pretty large image.
The white on that looks so nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the contrast between those colors are just spot on. I really like it.
I'm wondering what the swords are going to be like in the kit. So I'm really anxious to see what the kit is going to be like. If that's going to be like a soft piece, plastic, and then you slip these pieces on top of it. But I'm not sure. Doesn't look like that. I don't know. What it looks like is just one solid piece that's just molded in a curved shape.
It could be.
If I had to guess, that's probably what it's going to be. But see.
Could be like that bendy type of material, you know, with that has those like thin metal like rods or whatever in it.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
Well, yeah. Hopefully not.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably what it's going to be. You can see in this photo here as well. But yeah, that one does look interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Released. I think I would have to go back. I have to see if I still have that image. I'm sure I do, but I have to find it. The Gundam Veil, I think, is maybe the last 1/100 scale kit from the line, I believe. So I'm probably not going to be getting that one. The originally is Julia. Probably not going to be coming out on 1/100 scale.
No, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I think I would definitely buy that one. It would be my second IVO kit.
This was like beginning of last year or something. Bandai released that image showing like the like schedule of when they're planning to release the kits for the different months. I think we showed that image.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did, but you know what they say about Bandai images.
Yeah, I mean, who knows if they're
exactly
going to stick with that or not.
Exactly. Cool. Well, we got anything else on news, or is that about it?
That's about it.
That's it? Cool.
Yeah.
All right, rock and roll. Well, let's head over to Josh here. Josh just attended Tetsujin, which was put on by Hobby Art Gallery. It's a very well-known store in Singapore that put on this, just gigantic show, for what it is, obviously. And they had Josh and they had E-Day, which was, I believe, 2012, I think he won. Might have been 2013.
Yeah. Was 13, I think, was Shunegi with the new. So I think it might have been 12.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
But anyway, he won GBWC probably in 2012 with his Project Gwen, which I think really just floored everybody once he released it, because this thing was packed with detail. If you haven't seen it, go search it on Google and stuff like that. You'll thank yourself. But he was there along with Josh. They gave some special workshops and things, and there was a giant contest and stuff too, which looked really awesome. So Josh, what was it like, man? Tell us about it.
So basically I got invited over by Kenny Lim, toy maker, and they flew me over, and I met Kenny and the whole hobby art team, and basically they had booked out a section of the whole shopping center at Bucas Plus, this shopping center right in the middle of town. And they had a whole section for the hobby art gallery stuff, and they were selling Gunpla. They had shelves and everything. And what they would do is people start to line up for this, and come 6 p.m. at night, that's when everybody got off work, came to the shopping center, and then ended up lining up to get in to buy Gunpla. And the line to get in, they actually had like a nightclub tape across the front that one of the staff members would have everybody blocked off, and they'd let maybe 10 people in, and they're walking around, and then they let through a few more guests. And I saw one guy, he mustn't have realized, and he walked past the tape and went straight in, and one of the staff members grabbed him and was like, hey, and he was like, oh, and she's like, there's a line, and he's like, oh, okay. So it was like some drunk guy stumbling into a nightclub and getting his shirt grabbed by the bouncer. So they were selling out. They had to restock pretty much every day, and which is really great for them, because it's a local hobby shop, and they put on the whole event. It didn't have Bandai funding or Bandai maker support like that. So it was a risk for them to do this, but it's really cool. Kenny and the team wanted to do it to support the local Gunpla community, and to do something besides GBWC. So it ended up being worth the time after the week. So it looks like they'll be able to do it next year, which is really cool because the vibe and the energy, just like some of the GBWCs in your guys' countries, the energy is just fantastic. Everybody's there having fun, supporting each other, meeting and talking about their kits. It's great. So there were, I think, 3 categories in the competition. There was out of box, there was a youth category, and then a full open. And I've judged an out of box competition before where it was just snapping, panel lining, and decals. And that's so hard to judge because every kit just looks great. And then you're choosing like, oh, maybe this leg could be up 10 more degrees, and I would have given it more points. But this one was all painted. So these out of boxes, it was cool because people had to apply all their time and creativity to the paint and the pose because that's all they could do. They couldn't do any customizing. And some of them were fantastic. And the youth category was really great. And the open category, when I got there, saw these cabinets, glass cabinets. I was surprised by how good these entries were. I wasn't expecting something of this level. So what I'll do is I'll put up a screen share. Let's see here. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So this is the main event. Yeah, we've got all the Gunpla shopping over here on the left, and they had ridiculous prices. They had standard retail prices, but an additional 35% off. So I was selling my artwork at a table, but every time I get a break, I'd go over and I'd have a stack of model kits in my hand where I'm doing that like cycling through, going, oh, maybe I should get this one. Oh no, I'll swap it for this one. And I had this rotating pile of kits behind the table there that I just couldn't decide on, and I eventually got most of them. Yeah. But I'll show you some videos of some of the entries. So let me see what I got here. Oh yeah, okay, you can see this one all right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a gun tank. This is one of the open categories, and this is from a builder from Indonesia. And this thing was crazy. He's got Senanju legs that he's like put down there. So he's got 4 Senanju legs. He's lifted, I mean, it's hard to even see what he hasn't done. He's lifted the torso, added hydraulics in. He's got a big, long Gatling gun. The cannons on top are just crazy long. But the detailing and finish on this was really nice. And this is one of my favorites. All the judges got to have favorite entry. And this is one of my favorites. And it was really cool. Actually, see, there's another shot of it here. There's a back shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so super detailed and just really clean. Yeah. So that one blew me out of the water because that is just a true custom. Like it's exploded. It's really cool. And I got a bunch here. So we've got. Oh yeah, this is some weird entry that we had. And I get it moving. There we go. Yeah. So this one actually won all 3 categories, even though it wasn't even entered in the competition. So yeah.
That just makes logical sense.
It totally does. Yeah. As soon as this one came out, they just started sledgehammering all the cabinets, all the other entries, because they just go, we don't want this entry to see those other entries. That's how much this entry is. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Let's see. There was this one, and this is where I started to get blown away by the entries. This is a Zaku that's been painted. You don't see it as good in the video, but this gloss finish was just flawless. It was insane how nice this one looked. And down the bottom of the legs, you can see that there's some armor separation that the artist put in. So he's done some cutting, yeah, and heaps of panel line detailing like on the back of the legs and the thighs. I think those are new. I'm not sure about the back of the legs. But the thing about this guy's panel lining is he didn't use a chisel or a VMC or a scribe or anything. He's done this trick where you actually get a hobby knife and using your Dremel and a grinder, you grind it into a hook shape, and then you file down the sides. And he showed me a photo of this thing. I don't have a photo to show you. This thing looks like it's been sitting in a puddle in the gutter for like 6 months. It looks rusty and beat up, like how your hobby knives look when they're done. And he brought it in, and I'm like, and I'm holding it next to this kit, and I'm like, this made this, because his panel lines were clean. They were insanely clean. And I grabbed the knife and I tried on a little piece of plastic, and it works, but still, it's not as nice as a chisel or my scriber. So this guy's, yeah, what he did with this tool is just, it's crazy. So if anybody's whinging about affording chisels, if you have an old hobby knife and something to grind it with, you can't whinge anymore. So yeah.
Believe it or not, that's actually what I used to do before chisels became big.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man.
I used to use a dull hobby knife, and I actually I took an old I took in my Dremel. I had one blade that was super thin. It was about probably a 0.2 millimeter. But then I grinded another blade down to about 0.5 millimeter. So yeah, I used to do that back in the day too. So yeah.
So you actually thinned down the blade to be a smaller size, not the standard size.
It was more the length because since it tapers.
Yeah.
So
sure,
that's what I did. But hey, you know what they say? Necessity is the mother of invention.
Man, that's great. Okay, and it was not only just open to Gunpla, it was open to Mecha. So they had a bunch of different kits. I don't even know what this kit is. You guys know what this kit is?
That's one of those Kotobukiya kits. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but that's it's one of those night kind of
5-star stories.
I don't think it's a 5-star story. I think it's one of those almost like frame arms type of kits, you know, that are more styled to kind of like a medieval knight, and they have like a samurai, and then they have like a Viking one and stuff like that. I don't know what they're called. I'm sure the chat will help us out here in a few seconds.
Yeah, it was really well painted. I'll get a shot of the back of the legs for you. Some of the little tiles slipping underneath the feet. So this was cool. I'm not as interested in these kind of kits, but as a judge and just as a viewer, getting to see different designs and different styles was really cool. And there were actually some frame arms girls in the entries as well, which was great. And some of the guys that I was talking to, they were like, "Oh man, when are you going to get into frame arms girls? When are you going to get into it?" So they were trying to get me into it. This one's a Grim Gird that had heaps of modification done to it. And it looked really nice with a nice little diorama below it. So there's just some good creativity in the entries. But I'll find you a couple extra ones. Let's see what we got here.
So the kits that you bought, did you buy a Frame Arms Girl kit?
No, I didn't buy a Frame Arms Girl. No. I already had my big Gunpla box, my cardboard box, with a plane full of Gunpla and Star Wars. I ended up buying a bunch of Star Wars. Yeah.
Nice.
And this is a Kamara's Trooper, and it's hard to tell maybe from this size, but this guy had done a ton of modification on this, detailing, filling in maybe like the back of the ankle skirt, the ankle guards, plat plating that, customizing the gun. There's a unicorn or Banshee bazooka there, and it was just really clean and really well done.
Yeah, this one's by Dre Doria. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
But man, he did a ton of work on this thing. I think Kenny shared his whip on his Toy Maker page, and the whip was like 100 and almost like 150 images, and man, the guy just did a bang up job tying everything together. It just looks amazing. I'm sure it looked even better in person.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, I was talking to him afterwards, giving him some judges' critique and stuff, and I said, okay, so blah blah blah. So when you're airbrushing this and stuff, and he goes, and because there's a bit of masking that wasn't clean, and he goes, oh no, I just used a spray can, and I stopped, and I'm like, what? Wait, what? And I'm like, everything, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, man, all those things are the feedback that I've been giving you. If you do this in an airbrush, you're not going to have to worry about that. And I'm like, man, you deserve more points for this being done with a spray can. Because he had all this masking and separating, and the cleanliness of the paint was crazy for spray can.
Yeah, I mean, it looks smooth.
Yeah.
Those look really
nice. Insane.
I remember seeing this post. I didn't see it on Kenny's page, but I saw it, I think maybe just posted in a group or something just a couple days ago, and was really impressed by that. Yeah.
It was shared a lot, so I'm sure people saw it in a bunch of different places. Wow,
and we gave nice. In each category we gave first, second, and third, but then we also wanted to give 8 merit awards for within each category. So there was total 24 merit awards, which is really cool because when you're judging something like this and somebody doesn't get first, second, or third, it's like, okay, see you later, but you really want to say to certain artists, keep doing this. You were really good. We really liked your entry. So that was something I liked about the competition, being able to give out those merits and prizes to people. Yeah. So this is a cool diorama.
Yeah,
and,
I love that one.
It was painted really well, looked nice and dusty and dirty, and a good pose. And the only thing when you're doing judging is, you guys notice what that is on the right here? Can you tell what that is?
Oh,
From
is
the
that one of those
GM
little
sniper.
milk bottle things?
Yeah,
Oh, no,
yeah. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
a Yakult bottle.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice it first. And one of the judges is like, Josh, Yakult, and I'm like, oh no. And so this is the thing when we're judging, you want to be tricked and kind of like enticed into it, almost like a magician or something. And the scene, the pose, the paint, everything looks good. But then if you notice it's a Yakult bottle, you're like, oh no, now I know. So it was interesting. But aside from that, it was a fantastic entry. It looked so good. So this one got a merit as well. Let me find this cool little one in here. Let's see. This is a Kshatriya, and this is a first-time entrant into the competition. And it looks subtle, but he's done a lot of cutting on the binders up on the top. He's added little reflection points in on the sides of the chest. And I think he said for the LEDs in the back, he didn't have red LEDs. He just had white ones, so he stole some of his wife's. She's got these jewel kits, and he put a little red jewel over the top of the white LED to make it look red.
Nice.
Yeah, but this is his first entry, and it was just impressive and clean paint. And so it's really cool seeing people taking the time to spend on these kind of entries for a non-GWC competition, which is amazing. That's a good one. This is when I was talking about it being GBWC level in terms of creative concept. This is Ifrit, and it's called No Escape. And you can see there's a full diorama there, and there's a helicopter flying, and the Ifrit's got a sword bashing up into the helicopter. So it's basically the helicopters try to take off from the helipad and shoot across. And they put a lot of water effects down the bottom. And I'll get a close-up of that for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what this one impressed me with was its sense of depth and kind of 3D space. When you'd walk around it, it was very deep within the confines of the entry kind of requirement size. And it was just, I just kept saying, it's really fun to look at. You would just, it's kind of like it's an action scene that's just been paused. It was great. Here's a close-up of the feet and the water.
That's wild.
Yeah. So really fun. I don't know. I've never done water before, so I think these bubbles were unintentional. But I can imagine that would be really hard to not have happen when you've mixed up the water. Yeah. But this is beautiful to look at, and of course how the light's hitting the water just looks great. Let me find. There's one of my favorites. Let's see. I'll just keep going through and I'll find it. Here's a Senanju. White Senanju, and we've seen Senanjus 100 times before, but still super impressive. And this guy has done, if you know the original Senanju Master Grade, he's done heaps of armor cutting and trimming on this, and a lot of panel lining, and also a lot of reshaping, softening areas. Like on the cuffs, he's puttied over those and filled those in. And the panel line that's on the chest, it might be hard to see, but it's a bit of a zigzag panel line, but something on the chest like that, he's filled it in and panel lined it, and it's evenly balanced on both sides of the chest crest, which is really hard to do on something that's so far right out in the open like that, because something that's not symmetrical, especially panel lines, your eye can see pretty easily when it's on one part. So I gave him some good points for that. It was really good. This was out of the box, and this is a Ira Doga?
Yeah.
And just simple weathering. So this is them doing out of the box, so they couldn't do any modification. And it's just simple weathering. It looks really good. What I find is that there's a little. Let's see where she is. I found this one as well. Okay, I'll show you this one. Speaking of other mecha, this is a Zoid, and I know nothing about Zoids. So I think this is a Liger or something like that. I have no idea.
Yeah, but a mix. Those spikes on the head are from the Liger Schneider.
Ah, okay. So he's mixed a couple different Liger parts.
And those like thruster pods, I don't think those are from the Schneider, but I don't remember yet. I don't know much about Zoids either, but that's like the only Zoids kit that I've ever built, so
Oh, okay.
At least those parts I can recognize, but.
So he's this guy. This one ended up winning first place for the open category, and you can tell like just the attention to detail in the painting. It was really clean and well done, and he built the base and everything. And so yeah, this got first place. So this was crazy to look at in person. The color, it was super impressive. Not really my taste in mecha scale models, but it was really well done.
Those kits have just an insane amount of detail in all the frame and stuff.
Crazy. Okay. Skipping a few
awesome.
of them. Yeah. Here we go. This is another diorama, and it's just got nice rocks. And what this artist did is really cool. They have the round base at the bottom, but the rocks actually go away from the base in the background. So another good sense of like 3D space. Got some water there. And I think the Zaku is holding a monk in his hand. So yeah, this one was another just really nice skill level and creativity level in a diorama with the autumn trees as well. Oh, this was insane. Okay, let me find. This is a Grimgird.
Oh wow,
nice.
Just simple blue colors. This is out of box, so they're allowed to do decals. So simple blue colors and black, and then the decals. And I'm not sure if these decals are custom or if they're from a kit or some sort or another sheet. But us, the judges, were looking at these decals, and we're like 10 centimeters away from these. And I'm like, where the hell is the edge? I cannot see the edge. This is actually kind of freaking me out a bit here. So I don't know if he did like 20 layers of clear coat or something on it, but it looks fantastic. This is the winner of the out of box, and hopefully you can see it okay through the reflection. This is a Macross kit. I think it's like the Super, and it's got so many parts on this, and all those missile pods are all one color, so they have to be hand painted. And this thing was flawless. The painting on it was just insane, and the amount of water slide decals that fill up all of these armor panels and the wings and everything, they just looked like they were painted on. It was incredible. So I'm glad I'm not building models like this, because this seems like it would take forever to do. This was a cool little out of box. Just really nice gloss finish, really clean. And that was just nice to look at. Yeah, so that was one of the top entries for the out of the box. Yeah, gotta find my #1 entry. Let's see. Oh, and then there was some crap steins and Sanandris on display, but I'm not going to show you guys those. Yeah. And this is a shot of some of the display cabinets. So as you can see, there were a ton of entries.
Wow.
And it was just fun walking around, checking them all out, and meeting the builders and seeing what they had to say about their entries. But just give me a second. I got to find this one that I really want to show you. Ah, here she is. Yes.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah. And this is these are big entries, full customizations, gun tanks, everything, dioramas. And this thing is like, I don't know, 14 centimeters tall, this teeny tiny entry. But me and the judges loved it. The paint on it actually was flawless. Like there was just nothing wrong with it at all. But also the simple creativity in it, because he's scratch built that the kit bashed that syringe in the background for the nurse. What's this kit called again? I always forget what it is.
Nobel.
The Nobel.
Nobel, that's it. And the pink was kind of like a fluorescent pink, so we had a little black light that we were shining around, and she would start to glow. And it was actually this is the creativity that you want to see in a mix of all these sometimes semi-serious entries. The creativity and the playfulness in this was really good. So I think the artist, I was talking to him, and he said he saw some line art maybe that somebody had done of a nurse Nobel. So he took that idea and put it into the model kit form. So yeah, this one was up there. Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
And I think I'll show you some of this is E-Day putting in his kits, and he does mainly 1/144 scale. And I got some better shots of that one for you.
There you go, Ed.
I'm not alone.
Yeah. So yeah, this is I think it's like he started with I can't remember if it was a force impulse or sword impulse. And the detail on this thing for 1/44 is crazy. And his sharpening and his remolding of the armor panels was just fantastic. I'll get a close up for you.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy for HC.
Yeah. And I asked him, I'm helping him set these up and stuff. And I'm like, man, when did you do this? And he said, oh, eight years ago. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I'm thinking I'm all cool and creative doing my armor cutting and stuff, and you were just doing this 8 years ago. Yeah. And his signature kind of design is the big old pistons on the waist. It just looks fantastic. And the detail in the elbows and everything like that, like these kind of magnet sort of shaped wheel things in the arms. I wouldn't think to put something like that in, but he does, and it looks really cool.
Yeah, those are two of his signature kind of features, the pistons and those round features on the upper forearms. He always has those on pretty much every build that I've seen of his.
Yeah, like this one here with the round features and the pistons. Yeah. So these were really cool to see in person. And I think that might be about it for my show and tell. Let me just check and see if. I might show you his other entry. It's,
this one's insane. I love it.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got three Zetas going together. And I'm not sure of the scene or the kind of lore of this, but you guys know much about it?
At Gundam Front Tokyo, they have what's the theater called?
Dome G.
Dome G. And they have exclusive Gundam shorts and things that they showed just at Dome G. And these three, I believe, are all from those shorts. I know the red one is. Zach, do you know any more about these three?
It's the red Zeta, the gray Zeta, which the yellow one is actually, it's called a gray Zeta, but it's yellow for some reason. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but I thought those were the red Zeta and the gray Zeta. I thought those were from a game or something.
They're from Gundam Evolve, which was that weird series of short 3D things that came out years ago.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And they fought like the giant triangle monster or whatever.
Yeah, that big like Evangelion style.
Yeah.
Cube thing.
Yeah.
So he's got he has like down here he's got an arm down on the bottom that he's put in. So I think something about the red Zeta ends up controlling this arm or something, maybe? Something crazy. Yeah.
I'd have to rewatch it.
Not sure. Yeah. Anyway, it looks really cool. And all the Zetas are each individually detailed just nicely, not overdone. And a lot of scratch building. He does a lot of plow plating. Some of his most recent builds, it's pretty much the head is from a kit and maybe a little bit of the chest inner frame, and then it's all plow plate. He's crazy. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it was good to see some of his entries as well. And that's the Grim Grid again, with the crazy details. So, and then Ed and I, we ended up doing workshop each. And I'll turn off my screen share here. Well, oh, come on, crazy. No, stop it. I know what I'm doing, I swear. I can't get it. There we go. Okay, yeah. Ed and I, we did a workshop, and mine was about 2 hours, and I just went through all my customizing ways I do panel lines and cutting out holes and everything. And it was good having everybody around checking it out and asking questions and helping out. And a few people, maybe like a couple hours later, were sending me photos going, man, I'm already trying it on the shield. And so they were trying out some panel lines and chisel details. So, really, really cool trip. So I think that's about it.
Awesome.
Very awesome.
Yeah, and for those of you that weren't lucky enough to be at Tetsujin, Hobby Art Gallery actually filmed or live streamed, I should say, Josh's workshop, and we shared that video on the Gunpla Talk Facebook page. So if you're interested in watching his full workshop, go to the Gunpla Talk page, man, and check it out. It's right there. So it was really interesting to see Josh work and explain things. It was a good show, man.
Yeah, and when we were there, I because doing a workshop in a setting like that, people will crowd around the table, and that means people a couple rows back can't see anything or hear anything because this is in a shopping center, so there's loud radios and everything. So I took over a little lapel mic, and we had a little stereo speaker, camera put to a TV. And the lapel mic was good, but if I turned it up too loud, it would feedback with the speaker because of the limited space. So I needed something to hold in front of my mouth. And I was asking somebody, have you got any wire or anything? And one of the guys from the hobby booth, he came over and he had an alligator clip with a bendy piece of wire, the things where you stick in the piece of wood and you put your part on. So I like poked that through my buttonhole, pinched it to my shirt, and then I clipped my lapel on it. And so this thing is like sticking out in front of my mouth like this wherever I moved. And so I was doing a joke. I'm like, man, scratch building a mic live. And so we're putting it on that. And it ended up working, and it looked ridiculous, but it worked. So that was fun. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, man, it looked like a great time. So that's awesome.
Yeah, really good time. And I just liked it. Non-GBWC competition, heaps of attention, heaps of entries, and everybody keen on it. And I think that's going to be better for the hobby, having more of those.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Totally agree. I mean, the more homegrown stuff that we have like that to complement, have as well as GBWC, the better. So that's really cool to see.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very good. Very good. Well, let's move on to another smaller topic of conversation, and we're gonna go back to Josh on this one. Gundam Ver.Logic has swept the world. Everybody's built one, or is building one, or is painting one, or is coming up with a unique design for one. I mean, this thing has just gone insane since we kind of released it. What was it? Was it last month?
Last month, yeah.
I think last month.
Yeah.
What?
In 1 month, this thing has just gone crazy viral within the Gunpla community, and everybody's designing their own. And I've not seen two that are alike at this point out of the, I don't know, a few dozen that are in existence at this point. So let's take it over to Josh, because he's going to tell us about the Ver.Logic group that he made.
Yeah, okay. Am I broadcasting?
Yeah, let me present to you there.
Yeah, cool.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, the Gundam Ver.Logic, and I think I got to attribute a lot to Tim here, because I came up, of course, with these fantastic blueprints. These were actually done by hand. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, they were done by hand. I came up with these blueprints. And for anybody who missed the show last month, it's basically a stupid idea that my friend and I had. We were talking about Gundam, and we're like, they shouldn't be humanoid. Let's boil it down into the most compact form. And we were laughing, going, man, what if it was just a cube with one gun and thrusters on the back, and it just flies towards and shoots? And it was cracking us up, and we call it Ver.Logic, as if this is logical. And the Gundam designers in the actual universe are like, guys, we've done it. Like, Zeon is dead. We have created the flawless form, the ultimate mobile suit. And that's why it's called Ver.Logic. But of course, it's not logical at all, and that's where the fun is. You put stuff on there that does not make sense. And part of the other illogicalness of it is, Justin last time asked, how does the pilot get in and out? And I hadn't had that planned, and luckily for me, I had the idea that the pilot gets built into it and never leaves. Because now that's one of the best parts about it. And so in the true history of Gundam Ver.Logic, they actually sit the pilot down in his chair, build this around him, and in my mode, it's one piece of armor, and they lock him in. But this pilot isn't scared. He doesn't want to be let out anymore. It's like an honorable position, and the pilots actually do years of training for this, and there's actually a waiting list to get into a Gundam Ver.Logic. And so the pilot that's got in this one actually has been waiting for this, and so it's been a dream of his or hers for a long time. And they basically end up dying in there, but maybe they can fight for a long time. So basically, I put that out, and we were having fun with that. And then I think it was the day after Tim, or a couple days after, Tim put a post up saying, I'm starting on it. And I remember holding my phone and just going, yes, this needs to happen. This is where life needs to go right now. So I think, Tim, without you doing your start on yours, I wouldn't have started mine, and then it wouldn't have exploded. So, because this was just a silly drawing to me. So, man, big props to you, man. You're a big part of this thing. And now we're all building them. And what I did is, I took them to Tetsujin, and some people there are like, what is this? I had a little sign there, Gundam Ver.Logic. What is this Gundam Ver.Logic? And I explained it to some people, and then other people came up, and they're like, Josh, I love the Ver.Logic, blah, blah, blah. Is it cool if I make one? And my face is like, if you want to, please make one. Like, you don't need permission. It's a ridiculous joke thing. So then I ended up making a Gundam Ver.Logic official. This is the official group page. So if you see any impersonators out there or anything like that, or any Gundam Cube projects that aren't perfect 90 degrees, don't be fooled. Yeah, this is the official. So I wanted to make this group. More and more people started building, and we've got people posting work in progresses here. We've got this is the Aspilus. Yeah. Somebody just posted this. This is where this is going. This has left my hands. This is a whole new thing. And it's got the little tiny Zaku head up on top, and it's super boxy. And so he's done this, I think, in SketchUp or something. So we've got people that are throwing these together, just scratch building, putting them together in like maybe an hour or something like that. And then we've got people actually modeling these and planning out these Ver.Logics. Yeah, so it's fantastic. So it's an open group. I'll show you guys some more. It's an I haven't seen this yet. Yes.
Oh yeah, the cosplay.
That's great.
I saw that earlier.
Wow. That's great. So everybody's posting on this group. It's an open group, so invite people. Oh, we've got D Chen putting in. What? I hadn't seen this one either.
Wow.
That's nice.
Oh my gosh. And
looks like the Allspark.
It does look like the Allspark.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's like a cube at the back missing. I hope that's where another little mini Ver.Logic can fall out and like fly away, like a Ver.Logic funnel. So everybody's doing their own things, and it's fantastic. And then of course we're getting cube like influences from other products. I'll show you guys some more. Logic is life. We're getting some mottos posted out now. And so this is one of the terms now is LIL, or logic is life.
Nice.
This one is something close to my heart. What's he got here? Virtue, G and Canon, and put it together. And this thing ends up looking really good. And this is the thing with some of these builds is this doesn't look like it's a crammed together bunch of parts. It actually looks like it's a true form of an actual machine. So this is Adi Atma. So you can all see these on the Gundam Ver.Logic group page. And I like it. Simple gun, thrusters on the side, extra missiles, and the scope on top. I'll show you a couple more. Oh my gosh, there's so many. There's so many. I cannot believe. What? Oh my gosh.
Oh no, my God.
I had it. See? Oh my gosh.
Got the flight pack on the back and everything, the horns, it's perfect.
So there's
go.
This is I know, right? I'm like actually getting scared. This is crazy.
This is deep fandom, people. This is very deep fandom.
Bandai is like they're gonna be having board meetings. They're like, guys, we have seen a steep drop off. People are not buying full kits anymore. They're just using kits they already have. Like nobody's buying new kits. All they're doing is putting together these logic things. So the concept behind the logic, of course, was super simple. Mine was just a cube, and like yours, Tim and Zach, yours are very simple. But everybody's doing their own thing, and I want it to be no real rules. You can do whatever you want. The whole point is it has to be ridiculous and not logical. So this is great. Just there's like the V fin from the G self on the front there, and the space backpack. That's just fantastic.
Wow.
I'll show a couple more. We've got Kaiwen. I met him in Singapore, and this just what the heck is this? But it's fantastic. I love it. Oh man.
It's a Dom lower leg and
Dom lower leg
like
and
a knee and everything.
And
That's
then like
crazy.
the Thunderbolt backpack.
Yeah.
And then we've got some wonderfully balanced weaponry to actual main unit. Yeah. And this is crazy, just seeing people putting sketches together. So this one looks like it opens and it can actually walk as well. And I want to see if I can find. There's one in here. This is one of the early.
There you go.
It's actually the first finished one. This is from Mech Designs, Angelo, and from the Philippines originally for GBWC. Now he lives in Singapore, and he put this together. And I got to see this thing in Singapore. He brought it over, and we did a little photo shoot, and it just looks fantastic. He did like gradation in the gray around the spikes. So I'm appreciating it for the build and painting quality. But then I go back to what the heck this is. It's just a stupid little thing. And I think that's the best part about this is all of these hours and time. Like I spent ages on mine, hours and time on these things, and it's just a silly play joke, and it's great. So we've got a Gundam X Mao Ver.Logic here with the moonlight catching satellite blades, and I want to find one more. Here we go.
Oh,
so this is G Gundam Ver.Logic.
Oh, gee.
Yeah. so you've got a hand, and it goes into movable thrusters, and it's got dynamic view, which is the fist, so it can just fly right at you. And I messaged this guy, and I'm like, man, this is fantastic. Where does the pilot go? And he says, oh, he goes in the palm. There's some room in the palm there. So this. I hope everybody who does this makes it. But even if you just put a sketch in, then what the heck? Oh, it's a for your car. It's like a USB in your cigarette lighter.
God.
Oh
wow.
Man, yeah. So basically, have as much fun with this as you want. Do a serious sketch. Do just a simple, quick little build, and you can just join in on the fun and post it on here. We've got some Avas coming out as well, so it's branching into different IPs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is crazy. And this is the L on the side here. This is the logo that I came up with. So I put this logo onto the group. It's a separate folder with the two logos. So grab that if you do like a photo shoot or whatever, and you're putting up an album. Put down the official logo. We want to make this look all official, like it's actually a serious thing. And this is one that I'm a fan of as well. This is Simon's doing full armor as well. But I love this. The fuel tank is just as wide as the Logic itself. Yeah. So I swear, like if this started taking off, the whole Logic at the front would just break apart with all of the air resistance, and then there would just be a tank flying around space. Yep. So there we go. So
I'm gonna get on this.
Oh yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
I have an idea now. I want to make a gun tank for Logic, and it's just a single tread with like no. It'll be a tire with a gun.
Yes. Yeah, it almost makes a tire, and the gun sits on top. So wait, how does it roll? Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Well, I'll make the gun fold into the tire.
So okay, I hope this is it. Every time it rotates, the gun has to retract and then come out, and then go in and then come out. Every time it rolls. Yeah, nice, man.
That's perfectly logical.
It's totally logical. Yeah. So anybody who's been in this hobby, if you do this, you'll realize that you have basically been asleep your whole life, and now you're finally awake. You see what modeling possibilities there has been.
Hey, this is something that was pretty cool that someone, I don't know who, I didn't see the name on who was making that hand Ver.Logic.
Oh, yeah.
But have you guys seen this Kotobukiya option weapon that's coming out? That's just a giant hand.
The giant hand, yeah.
This one here, I'll show it to you here. This one.
Yeah. This is crazy. So that would actually make a good base for Ver.Logic.
That's
this
really
giant
good
thing.
It reminds me of the hands from like Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, totally.
And of course, you can use it for other stuff like that.
Kotobukiya is out of control.
Are those meant to be like cannons that shoot out of the fingers or something, or is it just a hand?
Both. You can just change the hand into the. Here, it's connected to that drill part thing in that photo, but then here it's like attached onto that armor unit.
Wow. I mean, I love this. There was like design meetings, and they worked on this, and we're like, it's just going to be this hand in the kit. And like, wait, just the hand? And like, yeah. And they're spending all this money. I can't believe what designs they're not sending out. If this is what they're sending out, imagine the craziness.
Yeah, what got turned back?
Yes, exactly. Oh man, that's great. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and then if anybody's posting photos, the international sign for Logic now is this. You just drop an L, or you just drop an L like that. Yeah. So if you want to do that, so we got our own gang sign. Yeah. That's it.
Gang sign.
And you got to do it serious face as well. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So there we go. Gundam Ver.Logic. Who knows where it's going to go? This is ridiculous, but I'm glad everybody's joining in and having fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, though. I mean, because if you look through the group, I mean, people that have never done any customizing or scratch building or anything before are getting into this kind of movement, which is really kind of cool because it's bringing people's bringing people into new skill sets, which is really kind of a beautiful thing. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
Exactly.
You done good, Josh. You done real good.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh god. So I'll be selling stocks and shares in the Gundam Ver.Logic. Yeah, these things are going to skyrocket. You don't even know. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, let's now turn to our special guest here, Ed, and talk to him for a little bit here. So, Ed, tell us about yourself, man. Tell the people that don't happen to know you what's 00 Custom or 00 Gundam Reviews, and what's Ed all about, man?
Well, I'm a 23-year-old YouTube Gundam maker located in Pennsylvania. I've been doing this for. I think I built my first kit when I was like 14 or something like that. So I've been doing it for a little while, and I got into this hobby through YouTube, but I don't do as many YouTube videos as I used to do anymore. But pretty much what I'm about is weathering and doing a lot of more lately than in the past, but diorama-based stuff and doing things that are centralized around realistic weathering and small scale like dioramas that have, I don't want to say like a deeper meaning to it, but have different layers to it thought wise and make you think. I like trains. That's something about me, I guess. that actually has to do with GBWC, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I'm a huge Gundam buff, obviously, not just the models, but the lore and the series and everything. I'm really heavy into MSVR, like old school designs, stuff like that. And I've always been like really, I guess again, less in later years, community driven. I really like talking to everybody who's into this and seeing like how big this hobby really gets with I mean, we were just talking about flying Gundam cubes for like 20 minutes and how many hundreds of these things have come into creation. But yeah, that's really it. I just paint dirty robots and post when I can and try to interact with people more. But I've just been so busy. It's,
yeah, life takes its time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you building like traditional scale models like cars and planes and stuff before you got into Gunpla?
No, actually, Gunpla was pretty much my first introduction into modeling, except for the only other time I think I've ever touched a model of any kind besides like a train, electric train set or anything, was my dad had these really old naval models on display, and I remember as a kid, like I always wanted to see them, and he would always tell me like these are really like delicate because they're different than like everything else, and so I would look at my toys and like look at these models and say, okay, these are clearly like very different things. So I would be very like delicate with them. But yeah, I mean, other than seeing those, I really haven't built. I don't even know if I've actually built anything other than Gundam models. I have other things and plans to build other things other than Gundams, but pretty much all I've done is Gundam stuff. I think I've done. No, I haven't. Never mind. But yeah, it's pretty much always just been Gundams.
Yeah, nice. In Australia, we didn't have Gundams really that I knew of when I was younger, so I'd build cars and motorcycles and stuff and planes. So I cut my teeth on that, and it wasn't only until 5 years ago that I even knew Gunpla existed. And man, so much easier than normal model kits. Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you get into like weathering and everything, Ed?
Well, I remember a while ago when I first got my airbrush from Henry. I was painting my kits and I was shading them, and I was looking at them and I was like thinking, like these are great, but I want them to look a little more realistic because at the time I was really heavy into toy photography and doing like staged photos outside of like Transformers and all this stuff. And I started my weathering journey with Transformers because I would battle scar them and like weather them and make them look beat up like how I'd seen them in like the comic books and stuff. And I thought that was really cool to like kind of add an element to it and make my photos look better because I started doing it basically as a mock-up for my photography, and then I was like, maybe I'll just do it for my models. And eventually I started doing a chipping here and there and experimenting with like different panel lining colors and everything, and thinking like, well, instead of like panel lining this with black, I'm gonna do it with brown because it looks, you know, better with the tone or whatever. And eventually, I started doing a little more and more to each model, and I fell into an addiction because every time I do a kit, I'm like, I'll finish it. It's like, it's funny because a lot of people don't really see it unless I post it online, but especially in person, nobody sees like my kits when they're clean. And I remember I had one, you know, I showed it to my friend and like, wow, this looks really great, man. Like, not that your weathering looks bad, but your paint is like really clean. And I was like, yeah, don't get used to it, because so. And I always say like, you know, I'm only gonna do like a tiny bit, or I'm only gonna do like this, and then I'll just sit there and go kind of overboard on something. And sometimes I'll like take, you know, I'll like overdo the chest. I'll like erase some on the chest, and then I'll add more on the arms and try to balance it out throughout the body. But generally, I always end up saying like, oh, I'm only gonna do like a little bit of chipping. It's only gonna look like it was, you know, the unit was out like on a test run or something, and then when I'm done, it's like, well, 30 years of battle later.
That's cool. So, how do you how did you go about basically getting to where you are now in terms of weathering, and like what kind of inspiration, you know, did you draw off of, and everything like that?
Well, again, kind of going back to the train sets. When I was a kid, I would see model railways, and I thought they were the coolest things ever. And if you look on a good model layout, you'll notice not only the trains have significant detail, but the buildings do. And I thought dioramas and stuff like that were really, really cool. And while there are a lot of clean mobile suits and a lot of clean kits that are featured in amazing dioramas, I always really liked seeing like a piece of art that matches, you know, diorama wise with the model. So if I see like a really clean model in a diorama, that's fine. But I like seeing, you know, the dust from the diorama like kicked up. You know, like let's say it's like a dusty area or something. I want to see that dust kicked up onto the kit. And so I really started looking at, you know, like weathered buildings and weathered train engines and boxcars and like all this other sort of stuff that was on these train layouts. And I thought, well, you know, different things in life get weathered in different ways. You're not necessarily going to see a train weathered the same way that a mobile suit's weathered, but there are certain things that kind of cross over with it. And so the first thing I started with was I took like silver chrome enamel paint, and I would just kind of use that lightly for chipping. And I thought, like, this is cool, but what if, you know, there's 1,000 different ways you can imagine in your head, you know, like what if the underpaint was brown, or what if the underpaint was gray, or, you know, this and that. So I started experimenting with different things, and a lot of people ask me like, you know, what weathering products do you use, or like what did you use before and what do you use now? And honestly, it really hasn't changed. I use 99-cent Walmart paint for my chipping, and I don't use like, I really don't use sponges or anything. I hand chip everything with a brush. I don't. Well, I do occasionally use a brush to get very, very small, like texturized, but all the major chipping and everything I just do by hand with a brush. And I guess I'll say like from where I was with weathering and where I am now, I've gotten more of a sense of where to place chipments, that's a word, chipping, chipping better onto things, and learning things like streaking and rust effects and different, again, going into the placement of different parts of weathering where, you know, rust spots where they would go better, or like when you have like mud or any kind of like dust element on a mobile suit, like focusing that more on like the feet or the base of it rather than putting it near the top or anything like that. So I guess, you know, like from where I was and where I am, I mean, I've only been weathering for, I mean, I think I weathered my first kit maybe like 2 years ago, but
Wow.
it's nothing really that I've been doing that long where I can say, you know, well, 15 years ago I was using colored pencil shavings and, you know, whatever. But yeah, I mean that's really it. I mean, I've learned a lot from not really watching as like tutorials or anything like that. I just really look at other people's work in like fine detail and kind of think like, oh, that's amazing how they did that. I'm gonna try something like that on my next build. Or seeing, you know, these I use Mig Jimenez washes a lot, and I love his stuff, like the way he does his modeling. So, you know, I got a couple of those, but again, it's nothing fancy. I haven't really upgraded like my roster of weathering stuff at all. It's very basic, but I guess that about wraps it up for that. I mean, again, it hasn't been too long, so I can't say all that much about it, but it's a fun process learning how to weather, because looking at like my first weathering jobs, like way beforehand, like even when I was doing Transformers, I'm just looking at them like, God, kid, like you're so you crazy child, you.
Well, that's cool. I mean, 2 years ago, I mean, that's not very long in terms of modeling at all. I mean, that's almost like it was yesterday almost. So
yeah, I actually haven't been airbrushing for more than about 2 years either. That's pretty much when I got into painting really hard. When I was doing before that, I was doing hand painting. I would hand paint all my kits, and I really appreciate that time when I was hand painting, because it taught me a lot of skills that I apply now to things. And I know you, Tim, are like the masking god, but I hate masking so much, and I would much prefer to hand paint things and like hand shade them. So that's what I do most of the time. So if I post like a kit where I'm like, okay, like the spraying portion is done, sometimes people will look at it and see like all these little like details and divots, and they're like, why don't you mask that off and paint that? I'm like, soon, child, it will come. But, yeah, so
trust me, man. Even though I'm halfway decent at masking, I hate it too. I hate every second of it. So I think
it's a necessary evil.
Hate, you know, yeah. So that's awesome, man. So let's talk about last year's GBWC, because obviously there's a whole story to tell with how you created that model, and the thing was beautiful. I mean, when I saw it in person, I mean, I saw it leading up to GBWC, and I saw the components and everything, and then I think it was the day of seeing the Facebook posts of it and everything, and you taking it on the train and all that. And I mean, it just looked beautiful, but seeing it in person was just, I mean, it just brought it to the whole new level of respect for what went into that thing so quickly too. So take us through the series of events with this thing, man. And I mean, because you won an award for that, well deserved, by the way.
Yeah.
And I mean, this thing just has kind of a lore of its own. Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, as most people, I kind of like to think that I'm going to plan much in advance for GBWC, and then suddenly it's October and I'm screwed. But
yeah,
what was going on at the time is I kind of was hopping back and forth between upstate New York and Pennsylvania, because my girlfriend lives in Pennsylvania and I live in New York, 4 hours away. And I was at a job there, and I recently had left my job, and I had all this time on my hands. And I came to Pennsylvania for a while, and I was like, all right, I have about a month and a half before this project. It's fine. And then her car broke, so we had to go car shopping. So I was stuck in New York in Pennsylvania without any of my modeling tools, without anything for a while. And don't get me wrong, I love seeing her, but the time was ticking down, and I was getting more nervous by the day. So I got back to New York, and this was about, I think, 3 weeks before GBWC.
And so wait, you hadn't started it yet?
No.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know I didn't know you started it that close to the deadline. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had about 3 weeks, and we were in New York for a couple days, and I said, all right, we're gonna go around and we're gonna go buy everything that I don't have yet. And so this is about probably $100 worth of tools, and it was, I needed to buy plaster, I needed to buy the foam like floral stuff that I used to make it, and I needed to buy a baseboard, and I needed to buy a couple other things. So we went around on this like shopping spree and did all this, and like we got home, and that night I was like, okay, I'm gonna like start doing this. So I like cut all the foam out, and I had the models like kind of done, but they were all in like pieces, or they weren't complete. And then you know, they were like half primed. So I have these like things that are supposed to be glued, and they're kind of like falling apart, and I have them all like stuck tacked together, and I'm like cutting the foam out and like arranging it in these like weird monstrous heaps. I'm like, what about this? What about this? What if I did this? And what if there's like a train track going through here? And originally I was planning to have like a train track tunnel built into the hill, but I decided to scrap that, and thank God I did, since I finished 5 hours before the competition. So anyway, I had this stuff, and I applied the plaster, and the plaster needs about 3 days to set. And so I did that, and I got the models like basically finished. I got them all primed, and I had 4 days before I was leaving for Pennsylvania. So I had like the plaster was drying, and then I had to add another layer of plaster, so I had to wait like 2 days, and then I had to put another layer on. So the plaster was drying on my drive to Pennsylvania, but the models themselves were like primed, and I painted one a night. So I completely painted one model every night, like with airbrushing. And I got all that done. I put it in a box. I got like everything I needed, and we packed up my spray booth, my airbrush, my compressor, like my whole setup into her trunk and drove to Pennsylvania. And I believe it was 8 days before the competition. So for 8 days, I was constantly in the laundry room, which we converted into this little model studio where I had my compressor, my airbrush, and all that. And she was also working on her diorama, which ironically was her first model that she had ever painted. And that was, if you look at the photos from GBWC at New York, it was the snowy Zagok. And she had like no idea what she was doing, but she was like, I'm just gonna go like balls in and kind of just throw shit together and, you know, hope it looks good. I'm like, that's exactly what I'm doing, just with 3 kits. So again, yeah, I was getting about like 6 hours of sleep a night, I think, on average, and I was only leaving the house to get food. And so 2 days into this massive like marathon of weathering, my compressor shit the bed. So what her and her dad did were like, okay, we're gonna go find a compressor, and there were like no stores nearby that had one, and she was like, I'm gonna buy a compressor for myself, so I'm gonna go get a nice one. I'm not gonna go to Michael's and get like the same one you had. But she's like, I'm gonna go get a really nice one. So they drove like 2 hours away to find this compressor, and they came home like at 11 at night, and they like plopped it down. They're like, okay, we're back in business. So as I was like working on the models, I was also putting the terrain together of this diorama, and the dirt is actual dirt, and that's a whole other story. I took wet dirt from outside and baked it in the oven, crushed it, and sifted it with a like, you know, the stops for like sinks to get like debris out from like dishes. I used one of those to sift the dirt out of a McDonald's cup into this like fine powder that I use as the actual dirt. And then I use a mixture of water and Elmer's glue to kind of like, I spray it down and then put the dirt down, and then I spray it and put the dirt down. Wow. And so I got the I was working like in this, and at this point I had the base done and the kit's mostly done, and I still didn't have like 100% way of how I was gonna pose everything. And I bought this like model train bridge, and I put it in, and I realized it was way too low, so I had to crack the plaster, move it up, and I put in like probably a pound of hot glue because I didn't want the plaster to like dry or like have to wait for it. So I built this up, made it where I needed to go, put a lot of hot glue in it, and then put a very thin layer of plaster over it and put a hair dryer to it, and that cured like very fast. So that was like a crisis solved. And then I got the terrain laid down, and I got the base, like the feet for the mobile suits that were going to be in the water down. And now comes the water effect story. So this is 4 days before the competition, and I'm like, all right, it's time to put the water effects in. So I'm an idiot for this one. So I went out and I bought this big thing of Model Scenics water effects. And what this stuff is, it's made for like train layouts to make like, you know, really thin like water, you know, stuff like that. And you're supposed to pour it in at like 1/8 of an inch at a time, because that's how it dries. Yeah.
Because it can crack or something, can't it, as well?
Well, the thing is, it won't dry. And what happened is I got the diorama and I put like I got like blue tack and I like sectioned the whole thing off with this like plastic stuff and I poured it, and something wasn't sealed right and it started like leaking, but I fixed that after like an hour freaking out. And then like that night my friend Henry Vegeta messaged me and he's like, yo, dump your diorama, that stuff's not going to be dried by like next month. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, look at the packaging. And I was looking at it, and the funny thing was, Model Scenics at the time was coming out with a deep pour water effects because people were doing this somewhere else. And so they made like a deep pour version of it, but I had the thin pour version, and he's like, you need to like get something else. So I took the diorama and just like dumped everything out. I wiped it clean, and I went driving, and my girlfriend was like, what about resin? She's like, go get resin. And I was like, thank you. So we drove to this I forget what store was it, and I paid like $45 for this huge like tub of clear resin.
Resin.
And I poured it beautifully, worked great. And the cool thing was I think I messed the consistency up because there were ripples when like on the top when I poured it. I'm like, no, it's fine. It looks like water. so I did that, and we had to like evacuate the house because even though we had like all the vents on and the doors closed and the windows open, after I poured the resin, the chemical smell was so bad that we had to like open the doors and windows of the entire house and like leave for a couple hours and put the diorama outside because it smelled so bad. And I didn't know because I had my respirator on. And so I was like praying to God this worked, and it did. Thankfully it dried. And then I was like, cool, now for the rest of it. So there was some like splashing effects on the diorama that had like they were like water effects, and what that is, it's sculptable like paste and it dries clear. And I put that on, and by like the night, there were like 2 nights or a night before the competition, I had like all the models finished. They were all top coated and decaled and weathered. And I was like sculpting this like water effect. I'm like, this isn't gonna be dry. This isn't gonna be dry. And I'm like sitting there like trying to dry it with like hair dryer and like doing this and that. And then I decided, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna texturize the water with like brown paint. So I took brown paint, and actually, I didn't have. I ran out of brown lacquer, so I went to the store, bought a thing of brown spray paint, decanted it, and sprayed that through my airbrush to get a brown color. So I like brushed it up onto like the water effects and made it look like muddy water and kind of like tricked it so it looks like deep, like there's brown like in the water, and it's literally just brown airbrushed on top of it.
I remember seeing that and loving that. It looks great. It looks like muddy water is like kicked up. Yeah.
Just real quick, let's throw this model up on the screen here real quick. Zach, can you give me the screen?
Yep, there you go.
Cool. I'll screen share because I've got I've got it pulled up right now.
This thing, I'm just looking at the photos too. This does not look as thrown together and crazy last minute as he's describing it. Yeah.
Can you guys see that now?
The only thing that looks horribly thrown together was the base around it, because I literally did that the night before, and I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. So, yeah.
No, I can't see it yet, Tim.
Yeah, I can't see it up.
You can't?
We've got your browser window and the live chat.
How about?
Now it's doing telescopic.
Oh, all right. Oh, you know what? Sorry, you're seeing my other screen. Apologies, folks.
Okay, so you did the brown water.
Yeah.
Then what went horrible next?
Nothing really.
Okay.
But
all right, can you see it now?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So also like, oh my god, I'm just looking at this thing and like just remembering like just kind of winging it. And I remember like the bridge, I put the bridge in and I was like airbrushing the bridge like while it was attached, and like doing all these last minute things, and I was like pulling trees out and like replacing them in different areas and changing them around. But the best part was the trip to the city, because right now currently I'm living in Pennsylvania, and it's a 2-hour trip to the city, and we take the train and like public transport, and carrying this thing in my arms on public transport is the best. I've done this every year I've entered GBWC with a diorama. Well, that's only 2, but every year I always carry it with me, and I get these like well, I get a couple crazy looks, but I always get these people that are like, "Did you make that?" And like, "Can I ask you some like questions on it?" And like, "Oh, that's so cool." Or like, "Are these Gundams?" And it's really fun like talking to people like about it, and it's like a way to kind of like you're not really like showing it off, but you're like representing like, this is what I do. And instead of like, like Comic-Con has like a lot of cosplay people, and you can't necessarily show off your Gunpla like on the way to a con like somebody who's cosplaying. So it was a lot of fun like holding it and like getting these people to like ask like, what is this? Like, where are you going with this thing?
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. I picture people are going, "Oh, how do you do this? And how do you make it look weathered?" And you're like, and then before you know it, you're doing a live workshop on the train as you're going.
Well, okay, this is another story I have for you. We were on the way there, and Jeremy, my basically twin, had a diorama of Blue Destiny, and I have a video of him on the subway, and we were crammed into the subway. Like all the seats were filled. The entire like hall, like alleyway was filled with people, and he has the little like Tamiya weathering like pastel thing, and he's like rubbing like it on there, and like he just looks at me, and I'm like. It was like a Snapchat. I'm like, last minute GVWC prep. Someone's bag is like 2 inches from his face, and he's just like detailing it on the train.
Oh man,
also
that's crazy.
On the beam saber, if you look, I kind of flared it out. I used some water effects on there and kind of made it so the beam had like little like flares coming off of the tip, or not the tip, the base of it. It's kind of like spiky looking.
Yeah,
it was like one of my favorite details, and like it's probably hardly anybody's noticed it, but I like it. And that gun tank or the gun cannon was probably like the most work for the whole thing. I like scratch built the little like I don't know, chest
the chest camera sensor thing,
green thing, and I added the shoulders are from Red Warrior.
Oh, they are too.
Yeah, I extended the top of the arms. I added these like little flaps onto the shoulders. I converted one of the sides of the cannon mounts to a beam saber holder, and I finished it, and I'm like, God damn it! Like nobody is ever going to see like the beam saber and its beam saber holster, and it looked so cool with it in there. Like no, but
damn.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the grass splatter as well. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece, man.
Thank you. It was fun. It was trying, but it was fun.
That muddy water. I love that mud. It looks like it's actually sliding off the bank into the water as well. That's cool.
I was kind of like going with like a, his foot's kind of like kicking it up, and like behind the Gelgoog, there's like some trailing off like brown effects. So he's like walking through the water.
I saw that. Yeah,
I wanted to make like the movement of the diorama like heading a certain way, and the only way I could really portray that was like with the effect of the water. So,
now I remember seeing that as well, the trailing of the feet, and that's they're like little secrets or hints at the story, even just to tell that the Gelgoogs walk through the water. But when you see that, you're like, man, that's not accidental. That's really rad. Yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, I mean, you can see like the little paint or the water splashing. Yeah, I mean, perfectly around the foot and everything, and that's just cool, man.
Yeah, it's again going back to like for the 9th time model train sets. I would look at them, and a lot of model train sets really don't put a lot of attention into the realism in the dioramas, and that always disappointed me. Like seeing parts of like you get like these little model houses, and they always come with these like pre-done bases, and people just like setting the bases onto the diorama of their train set. I'm like, like blend it in with like grass and dirt. It takes like 2 seconds. But yeah, it was it always comes back to model trains for me. So but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That's cool, man.
That's great.
Look at this right here. Just the glass shattering and everything. That just is. That just adds to the realism. That's just so neat.
I love doing like very small things that, like you look at it and like once you see it and you're like, oh, that's cool. Like that little tiny detail, or like, oh, I see where that came from.
I love your almost like bullet shots in the armor there. They're well done. You haven't picked out the edges with silver or anything like that. That looks real. That looks like it's a big piece of metal and it's been shot. And there's a little divot out, especially above the eye. Yeah. Oh, it's great.
A lot of people think I use a Dremel for that, and I actually use a nail buffing kit that I got at Toys R Us.
And what is it, like a metal nail buff thing, or what is it?
No, it's like a little like you get it for your daughter or something that wants to like do nail stuff, and it's like I got a very, very low power setting, so it's
it's a rotary tool.
Yeah, like a little rotary tool.
Yeah. Okay.
And the thing is, it's so light, and it's so like not powerful, so you don't gouge out a huge piece of plastic. But you do just enough to make it look real.
That's cool, because I use my Dremel, but man, if that thing grabs the plastic, it'll just pull itself into your kit. Yeah.
It eats it up.
Yeah.
I remember I used a Dremel for the inside of the Zogak. Actually, there's a whole work in progress album on Facebook that just is it's funny to see the internals of that thing, because it has like brass pipes that are pretty much holding the entire thing together, because I extended the entire waist with like milliput. The arms have extended connectors on them, and sometimes like when you look at like a custom build or something, you can obviously see it has like a lot of stuff done to it. And the way I did this one anyway is it's all like very, very subtle. Like it's all very small things, and like not necessarily you'd notice it looking at it right away. You're like, oh, that's a Zagak, but you might not notice it has like extra rungs on its arms, or it has the Gym 3 missile pods glued to his head.
Yeah, it's a shame that you can't put like I don't know, photos of the stock kit next to your entry. I know kids. When I was judging that competition in Testujin, I was missing things. I'm like, no, I gotta check up the original kit, because you miss out on all the work that the builders put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a good shot of that rippling effect in the water. That's really cool.
That's so nice.
It was so funny, because I'm like, oh no. It's good for this project, but it's not supposed to do that normally.
But it looks like it's to scale too, if you back away from it, it looks really good.
The heavens aligned, and the mistake that was made turned out to be a additional detail. This picture, the trees are one of my biggest gripes about this whole kit, or this whole diorama, because I was using pre-made trees, and I'm not doing that next year. I figured out a method about how to scratch build trees. So
nice.
The days of these trees are long gone, and I figured it out when I was doing a couple months ago. I did this whole run of Gundam jewelry, and it involved like these really small dioramas with these 1 to 400 scale, and like 1 to, I don't even know the scale, very, very small gashapon. And I made these trees by taking like copper wires, or like jewelry wires, and kind of wrapping them around, covering them with plaster, and kind of like dipping it on there and just spraying it brown, and then adding on like flock to make it look kind of like a tree. So there's a new solution for me for putting all these like stock trees from like Michael's into my dioramas now.
Nice. Now I got a question about this. These green things here, what are those?
I don't know. I don't know. I kind of like there was like a bag of them like in my my tub of weathering stuff or my diorama stuff, and I'm like,
oh, gotcha.
They're green. They'll work. I think honestly that the one that's like sticking out from the bridge, I think that was like tucked down farther, and it kind of sprung out at some point. But I think they're supposed to be kind of like, I don't know, bushes, but they kind of just look like they look like germs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a nice shot here of the rock side, and you can see some of that dirt and everything, and of course the brown water and all. That's so cool.
I tried to make like, you know, the water level where it meets the rock kind of like muddy, like it was a bank, you know, not to collide the rock and the water immediately, because you know the way the water works is, I mean, any water it pushes, so you want to see kind of like a transition from the water to the rock where it's wet, but.
Yeah, nice work.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah, no, I mean it's awesome.
So now we'll see, like, cause when is GPWC? Is it October?
Yeah, the New York City one, which is the one I always go to, is October, and it's during Comic-Con.
Cool. So you don't have to start until September then.
I don't gotta start until October.
Oh man, October. That's right. Yeah.
Well, for my idea this year, I've got to start a little early, but
yeah, okay.
We'll see.
Nice.
So what's your plan for this year?
Go ahead and release the screen for me if you would.
Yeah. So what's your plan for this year, Ed?
Well, it's gonna take some work. Let's just say that. So. I am a incredible fan of British rail, like trains. I've always been a huge fan of British engines, especially because growing up and as an adult, I love Thomas the Tank Engine, and they are all based on British trains. And that show is actually what really got me into modeling, because when they started it in the '80s, it's all actual like model work, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And you know, seeing that as a kid and watching it all the time, and I was an adult looking on the sets and everything, I'm really, you know, more appreciative of it. But kind of as a homage to my trains, my idea is I'm going to build a British rail yard in 1/144 scale, and what's going to be happening is I'm making 2 Gundams that are train-esque, and they're going to have kind of like parts of trains involved with them, like scratch built into them, and so they look not necessarily that they look like Transformers, but they're like kind of like I'm trying to think of, like, there's like a well, Might Gain is like an old train wreck, but that's not really a good example because he's a Transformer. But you know what I mean. Like, it's kind of like they have a train aesthetic on them, and they are going to be fighting a giant boxcar monster. And it's going to be like bursting out of like a rail shed sort of thing. Yeah. You know, there's going to be like wood flying everywhere. There's going to be like you know, billboards and stuff like that, like a signal box and a signal yard, and you know, a bunch of like train cars and pieces that are just kind of laying around. And I'm going to have like these 2 guys like fighting it. And I'm thinking of like one is going to be like coming down from the top and like another one coming from the bottom. So, or I was thinking either that, or I'm going to base it around the whole thing with diesels overtaking steam in, you know, the 40s and 50s, and having the beast be sort of like a diesel, and having the steam engine guys kind of fighting him off. So it's gonna be something along those lines. No pun intended. But
oh, dude, that sounds fantastic. You definitely gotta work those trains in. You love them. Yeah. That's cool.
I put trains in every single one of my GBWC dioramas, and I've gotten an award for all of them. So hopefully, maybe the trains are what gets it for me.
Yeah, I mean, last year you won what, best small scale, right?
Yeah, I won small scale at New York the past 2 years, and it was called End of the Line, and it was a diorama of an EZ8 fighting a ground Marasai that I modified, and he is mid-step kicking a train, like in the 3rd car or 2nd car, and the train is like flying backwards off the track as he's like getting into a pose ready to stab this EZ8. And that one actually had a train in it. This year it was only a train track, but you know, it's still there.
Nice.
But
oh, that's so cool.
That's awesome, man. Well, man, if I can get tickets, I'll see you up there. So that'll be really, really cool. So
you better be there.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know what? The challenge with New York Comic Con is always getting tickets. So that's going to be the determining factor, you know?
Yeah.
So, but that's for another show. But yeah, no, it will be there and the whole 9 yards. So that'll be awesome to see. I can't wait to see that thing finished, man.
I can't either.
Oh man,
that's awesome,
Tim,
dude.
Tim, without saying yours, do you have an idea for this year? Are you entering?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, yeah. I have an idea, and I just need to start on it right after I get the Ver.Logic painted and done off my bench.
I'm glad your priorities are set right. That's good.
Well, I figure I'm going to have about 7-8 months. It's not going to be anything as crazy as a 4-year build, you know, for the Hummingbird. So thankfully, I should be able to knock that out.
Cool.
Hopefully.
Tim, I thought you were going to be entering that new petite guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's not your GBWC build?
No.
It's actually the Logic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll put like an actual V fin from a kit and call that the base and enter the Logic. I'll be GBWC world champion with the Logic just because it's logical. Unless someone else enters.
One of my friends said it would be so cool if like everybody like blanket entered Logics into GBWC and they like take over. Like a higher percentage of entries are Logics in the GBWC. That would just be ridiculous. It'd be great.
Bandai would shit their pants.
Yeah,
literally.
exactly.
Like, what the hell is this?
They'd have to notice at that point.
They have to. Yeah.
That's very.
They have to make an OVA. They have to do it. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember I think I can't remember where what country this was for GBWC, but somebody did like the really tall like stretched Gundam from that one theme park.
Oh yeah.
And there's a picture of Kawaguchi like he's like looking at it and then he just looks away and he's like, is this like look of like disgust on his face? Like, I can only imagine him showing up to like a competition and it's just like 80 Ver.Logics like all lined up.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I think he'd quit at that point and just throw the clipboard up in the air and just walk off.
New subcategory, best Ver.Logic.
Oh man, that's
no. The category is like GBWC winner. The subcategories is non-logic.
Yeah,
there you go.
Logic is the category.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Hey, Josh, though, somebody asked a little bit earlier, and I forgot to mention it when we were talking about the version Logics. And we've never really touched on this before, I don't think. But in terms of scale,
yes.
I think everybody has their own, I guess, kind of scale, and it's a free form scratch build. Mine is a 5 centimeter cube all the way around. But how big is yours, Josh?
Mine's 3.5 centimeters, so 35 mil. And that's basically because I had some builder's parts thrusters. So for thrusters, drew a square around them, and that's how I got my scale. So basically, what you can do is that mine, as Simon actually worked out, we were talking about the size, and basically the size of your Logic doesn't exist until you think of your pilot going with it. Some people put a 1/144 pilot, and but Simon came up with the idea that the Logic is actually 100 meters on either side. So it's actually it's 5 times the height of a unicorn or Senanju. So with mine, when I do my photo shoot, I'm going to take a photo of the Master Grade Senanju and put it to scale with it so everybody knows how big it is. So that's what mine is. But everybody's allowed to have your own, almost like your own Logic universe. So your scaling may be different. So mine is 35 millimeters. So mine is actually 1:2875. So it's a common scale. It matches with all other kind of like scale hobbies. So that's what my scale is. But other people have put pilots in there, and they're kind of maybe 1/3 the height of the Logic. So theirs might be smaller. So everybody's free to do whatever they want, but mine's 100 meters. So there you go.
Jesus. Now watch. Somebody's going to do it. Somebody is going to get massive sheets of plastic and make a 1/44 scale, and it be the size of a Neo Zeong.
Yep.
And they're going to put it next to it, and it's going to be like That just makes sense.
Massive. Yep.
It's logical.
That's it. Totally.
It's logical.
Oh man, that's great.
Oh man, this it's the version logic is just too much. It's just it's crazy. It's awesome though. It is awesome. So very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ed, thank you so much, man, for being on the show
problem.
today. Thank you for the conversation and everything, and we hope to have you back in the future, man.
Definitely.
Oh, of course. Glad to be here. You guys are blessed.
Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. All right, well, let's go around the show and let's do some plugs and everything real quick, and then we'll call it a day. So let's start with Josh. Josh,
Yeah.
tell us everything about it.
Josh Wadera. I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I post about all my Gunpla customizations and a lot of version logic. So excuse people who don't care about version logic and want to see my Zeta and stuff. Sorry, there's just bigger fish to fry, and we gotta keep this movement going. So yeah, yeah, you can find me on all those and send me messages. Say hi. I love chatting to everybody. And I also do Gundam artwork as well on joshwadera.com, and I send everything worldwide. And I got good shipping prices, so don't be scared of buying on there. And look out for my Barbatos artwork. I'm going to put this up within the week to have that for sale. So check that out. That's it.
Awesome, awesome. Zach, what do you got to plug?
Follow my Instagram and Facebook pages. It's a good way to know about what's coming to my YouTube channel. And Facebook page is where I post up like about where like the live stuff. So if you want to watch any of the different live shows, you can find that stuff there. On my Instagram page is a good way to keep up with like which reviews are coming up next, because I usually will post like an image there like when I'm doing the review, but then that won't actually be up on YouTube for 1, 2, or 3 days or something like that later. So those are good places to follow if you want to keep up with my stuff. Otherwise, yeah, just here on YouTube. I've got a bunch of stuff that I still need to work on reviewing. Some kits that are built, already snapped up, other kits that are not. Got a bunch of them here. I got
got a couple kits there.
Just a few. The 1/44 scale, Barbatos Lupus Rex, just got this a few days ago, but haven't snapped that yet. As well as this one, the Papa guy.
Oh man, I love how the cane is just like stuck on. Just
yeah, just stuck on the end there like that.
That's great.
So one of these silly ones. Also, yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't mention about this. My custom Zaku contest is ongoing, and you guys at this point, it's the deadline is April 6th, so still 5 weeks, more than 5 weeks. If you guys have not entered that, it's not like too late to enter. You can still enter. Just check out my video on that. Let me just show these prizes once again, just for those who may not remember. Here's all the prizes for that.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So there's a lot of stuff to win.
Oh man.
And then this is just all the prizes that were donated, and so thank you once again to Alex and Zach who donated these. And then I'm going to also be giving away just some of my own stuff. I'll be giving away as well. But yeah. So don't forget to be working on that if you're not.
Very cool.
That's it for me.
Well, you've got some other shows and stuff too. G-Check and then Gunpla, the Gunpla interviews. Do you have anything lined up for those?
Nope, because both of those are already done for this month. So next month's episodes of those, I'll talk about that in the Gunpla News. That was the beginning of March. So I don't know who the next interview will be actually at this point, but I have a couple people who I'm considering. So I just need to get in touch with them. But will be someone cool. If you guys haven't watched any of those, not I mean you guys, but you guys watching this, if you haven't watched any of those interviews, definitely check them out, because those are some really cool guys that I've interviewed so far. Yeah. I'm really happy with that. So Henry's was the first one, and then Win, of course, Mr. GBWC himself, and then Lincoln was last month, and then this month talked with Alan, who's also this really knowledgeable, super helpful guy. So definitely check those out. I know just just by comparing like the analytics of those videos, those interviews actually don't have as many views as, you know, they're actually pretty below average in terms of view numbers. So it's a little bit disappointing just because I don't really care about like my numbers of views, but it's just the fact that I think that those guys are really cool and they deserve to be seen and heard. So
yeah,
I hope a lot more people will be checking out those interviews because those are some pretty cool guys.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's such a good project you're doing with all your videos, doing those interviews. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, next month we'll see.
Very
just
cool.
Watch the Gunpla News episode beginning of March. I'll talk about that.
Awesome. Well, Ed, what are you working on, man? Or what do you got to plug and everything?
Well, I'm 00 Gundam Reviews V2 on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter that I never go on. That's about it. You guys can follow me there. I actually now that I'm settled and actually have a working computer, I haven't actually had a computer that's good for editing in about a year now. And any video that you've seen in the past year were cobbled together on this like horrible little netbook thing that I have, and the rendering time for like a 10-minute video is 36 hours on it, to give you a idea.
Whoa.
So,
no. Oh no.
So that is my like simple solution, because a lot of people have been asking me like, where are your YouTube videos? Where's the next Gunpla of that episode? I have like footage, but trying to edit makes me want to tear my own limbs off, so I haven't done that. So I have a tower computer that my girlfriend's brother kind of just left me to work with. So he was like, yeah, here, you can use this for like videos and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I started playing video games, and that's why I haven't like touched Gunpla in like a month. But so I have videos coming down the pipeline, and I also started a separate channel and page and everything for my train stuff, because I've started getting into I've been doing model trains since I was a kid, but I haven't really like ever gotten into a train community, so I started like a whole page for that. So once that's all up, I'm having like Moki do some he's doing like my thumbnail image and everything, because he did my thumbnail for like my Gundam stuff, so he's gonna be doing that. But pretty much for like all my Gundam stuff, you know, it's 00 Gundam Reviews V2 for everything. I try to make it all streamlined. So cool. If you want to find me and talk to me, I'm down. I don't know that much, but I'm willing to share what I know. I feel like so bad because I get a lot of people that like, they ask me, they're like, what do you do for like chipping or like this and that? I'm like, I use gray paint and a paintbrush.
Yep.
I feel bad because they're like, well, what else? I'm like, there is nothing else.
The key is these. That's the key.
Yeah. Like practice, man. Like study. Yeah.
I had somebody. I packed my kits to go over to Singapore, and Sinaju and everything. Sinaju's in a foam case, but all the other ones. And they're like, "Man, how did you pack your kits to get them over there safe?" And I said, "I have a cardboard box and a roll of toilet paper, and I wrap them up like that." And they were like, "Whoa!" And then they said like, "Man, what toilet paper do you recommend like for softness for your kits?" And they were serious, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I replied, "I'm like, it's a special toilet paper. It's like quintuple layer
ply.
Yeah, 5 layers ply, and it's called like puppy duck down. You only get it from Japan. It's like $60 a roll." And I said, "So that's what I only use the best stuff." And they replied, and they're like, "Haha, that's great." So they got the joke and stuff. But no, yep, usual stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. Well, for me, you can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and a little bit of Twitter. Website, don't ask. But somebody in the chat asked he wanted to see if I would make videos and stuff like that. That's kind of in the works, but it's not like concrete or anything. So we can revisit that in the future. But I definitely want to do some tutorials that are video based, just to show you guys, because I've had a lot of people asking me about my masking workflow and things like that, and that just doesn't really translate very well in pictures. If I did it in pictures, it would be a lot of pictures. So it's better to show it in a video. So I'm going to plan that. But I also have a couple other things in mind. So for you guys wondering in the chat, it's in the works, but it's low on the priority scale. I got to get GPWC and Clash of the Titans build off projects going at a reasonable clip first. Then I can try to donate my time to other endeavors. So you never know. Keep an eye on the social medias and stuff. So anywho, but that's me. That's Gunpla Talk. That's us, man.
Yeah.
Ed, thank you again, buddy, for being on. Thank you for taking your time.
Yeah,
it was an awesome time having you on here. And Josh and Zach, thank you guys. And for Simon and Justin, they're both on assignment this month, and they'll be checking in with us hopefully next month. Not really. They just have prior commitments. Yeah. And also Jim, man, we can't forget to mention Jim, the forefather, if you will, of Gunpla Talk. Miss you guys, and we'll see you in future episodes, definitely. But also thank you to everybody in the chat and everybody watching live or watching after the fact. We appreciate you guys. We really do. So we wouldn't be here without you guys. So all right, so until next month, guys, thank you again. And this has been Gunpla Talk. We'll see you next month.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.